Every night, our kitchen and living room transform from the cool temperature ceiling lights to a nice, warm, relaxing white temperature. But there weren't any warm lights over here by the TV, so some light strips underneath the cabinets would be perfect to lighten up this area. The problem is which light strips to choose. I'll show you how I figured out which ones were the best for this spot, and a few other spots around my house. I think you'll be surprised at what I ended up with. I know I was. To figure out which light strips to use, I gathered 12 different ones to test out. It's a mix of light strips companies sent me over this last year, and many of them I bought myself. 2 of these are my favorites from my last light strip comparison, but the rest are ones I've never tried out before. I put them through all my tests: minimum and maximum brightness, white color accuracy, RGB color saturation, and of course any extra features. I went in with a pretty good idea of what light strips I would like and not like, but the results are not what I expected. Let me show you. So I tested both Wyze light strips, and I was hoping they would be like their RGB bulb, which is surprisingly really good. The light strips, on the other hand, I would skip on these. The less expensive ones were very underwhelming. They were not bright, white colors were bad, and they felt cheap. The icing on the cake is that Wyze is not very compatible with systems like SmartThings or Home Assistant, both of which I use, and I like to automate my lights. If you need some cheap light strips, I would go with the inexpensive Casa light strips instead. Unfortunately, they have all the same negatives as Wyze with brightness and colors, but they do work with SmartThings and Home Assistant. At first I was thinking I wouldn't use these Casa light strips because the white color is so terrible. But then I remembered I've been wanting to put light strips under my side of the bed, and these could work perfectly. I only need a warm color to turn on when I get up at night, so the white color is fine. And I like the attached button to quickly turn off the light strips if I need to, especially if my automation to turn off the lights fails when I get back in bed. I tried to turn off a smart bedroom lamp with my voice once, and all the lights turned on. Yeah, it didn't end well. Of course, all the light strips in my house do not have to have amazing warm and cool whites. In some rooms, I just want some RGB colors for fun. I thought the Wyze Light Strips Pro would be a good fit for this. They feel higher quality than the other Wyze option and can do multiple colors at once. The problem is the Wyze app for these is not good. It feels half-baked. Compare that with the Govee RGBIC light strips that can also do multiple colors and are very similar in many ways. The Govee app isn't perfect, but it is much better than Wyze's app. My main gripe with Wyze and kind of Govee too is lack of compatibility. So if you want some light strips that are very similar, that they're long, they can do multiple colors, they won't break the bank, and are more compatible, then I would check out Casa's new light strips. These do not have a dedicated white LED diode, so the white colors won't be good. But that's also the case with Wyze and Govee too, so it's not that big of a deal. These are focused on RGB colors and could work for like a gaming room or something like this metal shelf that I've wanted to add some color to. I also tried some light strips from Ross. I didn't like them, so I'm skipping right over them. And don't worry, I'll be linking everything down in the description. I still needed light strips for my living room, and I came across 2 Sengled light strips that seemed promising. They have a dedicated white LED plus an RGB one, and they're inexpensive. That checks all the boxes, but when I tried it out, it just looked weird. The white and RGB diodes are spaced out, so the color doesn't mix well. I tested both the Zigbee and Wi-Fi versions, and they were both the same. I was beginning to think that none of these light strips would work for that spot. But then I tried the Wiz light strips. I wasn't expecting much from these, but they really surprised me. The Wiz lights have dedicated warm and cool white LEDs, plus an RGB diode all right next to each other. So the warm and cool whites look amazing. The colors are average though, and I still hate the Wiz app. Luckily, these work with SmartThings and Home Assistant, so after setting them up, I don't have to use the Wiz app anymore. And they look very similar to the Philips Hue light strips, which kind of makes sense since Philips owns Wiz. The only major difference, they use Wi-Fi instead of Zigbee and cost less. So for the price, I like these a lot. A few days ago, if you would have asked me what light strips I'm going to put under my cabinets in my living room, I probably would have said my favorite from my light strip comparison video. The Casa Multicolor, with great warm and cool whites. These are different from the other two Casa light strips I've already shown. You can tell the difference from the box, right? No? Yeah, they look the same to me too. These are the best out of the three Casa lights, and even though they've been out for a few years, I still love them. So much so that I've actually bought 4 of them since I originally reviewed them. But for the price, I chose the Wiz lights for this spot in my family room, especially since I needed to extend them to 9 feet for this cabinet. They can both be extended in length, but Wiz is much less expensive for what I need right here. They look great in the family room, and I've automated them with the rest of the lights. They do a really good job at showing how much dust is under the cabinets. My wife loves that feature, especially when guests are over and the lights turn on. There are also some other light strips that would work well for this spot. Hue and LifeX would work great, but they are pretty expensive. Nanoleaf has some great bright and white accurate light strips too. If you use HomeKit and Thread, then I would check those out. The Casa light strips are still my overall favorite, so I put them on my standing desk. They are so bright and colorful and they look amazing. There are also a couple of other light strips I tried out along the way. Gobi has the rope LEDs and they look pretty cool. I love how you cannot see the LED diodes, and I'm not sure where I'm going to put these yet, so I still need to figure that out. I also bought the Hue Gradient light strip, which put a massive dent in my wallet. Yes, these look really nice, but they're way too expensive. The way you select the gradient colors is also kind of restrictive, so I don't like these as much as I thought I would. I'll be adding light strips to many more spots around my house, including underneath my kitchen cabinets, so make sure you're following the channel if you're not already. Thanks for watching. Hey, Dad Tax. Hey, where'd you get these?
Bunny.
Bunny? Easter's not for like another month.
This bunny.
Oh no.